talking guys actually. At the new Morgan Hall for the symphony orchestra.
I don't hear anything.
Yeah.
I got it. You said something about the symphony hall.
The symphony orchestra, they have that new Morgan Hall that they just built. Mm-hmm. They have a state-of-the-art recording studio in there, open to the public.
You have to tell me about, because I'm trying to figure this out right now. Something's wrong with my.
They have a recording studio open for the public. I know you like
you
sing piano,
yeah.
You sing.
Yeah.
But it's a state-of-the-art studio, and you can go there and you can record.
Are you kidding?
No, like it's like
can she said. Send me the
she said nobody knows this. She said, but you can go there. Yeah.
Can you text it to me so I can get in touch?
Yes.
Absolutely. Denise is my name. I don't know if you remember.
Denise?
Yeah.
Your name is Denise.
You know, sometimes we talk to people all the time and we don't.
This is true.
Big city. Big city. Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll see you.
All right, bye-bye. bright light, big city. Yes, that's Jimmy Reed bringing us in with Bright Lights, Big City. I couldn't get it to play on Tuesday, but I'm like, no, I still want to talk about this song right here. Thank you so much for joining us for The Workplace right here at KABF 88.3 FM, where we are the voice of the people. First thing we want to always say to you is how grateful we are for your presence in this space. We know without a shadow of a doubt, it is not lost on us in any way, shape, or form the significant role that you play in our ability to show up every single day, all day long, with information, with education, with entertainment, with enlightenment. That is our purpose. We want to be your voice. And so you make it possible. And for that, we are grateful. So thank you so much for being here in all of the different ways. Like, even if you're not listening to this show, but if you're not listening, then you can't hear me say whatever show, even when you support all the other shows, right? Like, not just The Workplace, not just Community Voices, but all of the shows. We are glad that you are sharing this space with us. Tony is out today, so I'm rolling solo. I'm sure he will tell you all about it. You know how he is. He will fill you in on everything that's going on with him when he returns, and I don't know when that will be. But I wanted to bring us in with this song, Bright Lights, Big City, to ground our conversation today, talking about the conversation is going to be about whether or not we are strong enough, whether or not we are brave enough, whether or not we are courageous enough on one hand, and on the other hand is whether or not we are simply willing enough to make the decisions that need to be made as we strive toward collective liberation. We are not free. I know lots of people say America is a home of the free. We are not free. So we are not free. And since all of us are not free, that means none of us are free. And so there's so many decisions that we need to make if we want to realize freedom, if we want to make liberation possible, if we want it to manifest in our midst, in our lifetime, then there are certain decisions that we are going to have to make. And some of us are not making those decisions because of some of those reasons. Like, it may be a whole bunch of reasons, but we're not strong enough, we're not willing, we don't want to sacrifice our benefits from the system in which we are complicit. Some of us are still asleep. We don't realize that the system is affecting us the way that it is. We don't even realize that there is a system. Some of us do realize it, but they believe that but they want to pretend like they don't. And so I want to talk about the decisions, nudging us toward making those decisions that necessarily have to be made if we are going to be in a world where we are free. So here's what Lowe says: freedom comes with a price paid in blood. Freedom comes with a price paid in blood. I know that people really believe that as it relates to the military. And so many of us, when we meet a person who is a veteran or who is an active member of our military, the first thing we say to them is, thank you so much for our service. And if we have an opportunity to talk to them a little bit longer, we will say things like, I thank you so much for sacrificing your life for our freedom. Like, you're fighting for our freedom. Like, I really appreciate that. So a lot of people, when they think about blood being spilled, because war equals blood, and military, they go to war, and so they spill blood. Like, that's what they do. And so we don't have a problem with that because we believe that it is necessary for them to operate in that way in order for us to have the freedom that we claim to have in this country. But I wonder if we actually apply this same understanding to the choices that we have to make as it relates to the struggle of freedom as citizens in our country. Like, not going to war with other countries, but citizens who are at war with our government. Like, the government has declared war on many of us, especially people of African descent, members of the African diaspora. But it's also declaring war on other populations, other communities, people who are of trans experience, people who are immigrants. Like, these people, like the government has declared war on our bodies as well. And so if we are going to fight the war without the military, then we have to shed blood. But blood does not always have to mean like actually dying, where I lose my life. Blood can be a symbol for, I have to shed these benefits. I have to shed my complicity. I have to shed my ignorance. I have to shed my unwillingness. Blood can be looked at in those ways as well. And that's more of what I'm talking about today, rather than saying you gotta die, give up your life. However, history shows that it's also the case that those of us who are at war with the government end up losing our lives as well. Malcolm X, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We could talk about Hampton, Fred Hampton. Like, we can talk about Eric Garner. We can talk about all of these, Sandra. We can talk about Sandra Brown. We can talk about all of these people who literally had to give up their lives. But I don't think that that's the only way that blood can be shed. And I want to make sure that I'm clear about that, so that nobody walks away saying that I'm advocating for you to die and go kill somebody, because that's not what I'm saying at all. Even though you think it's okay when the military does it. So here is Lo again. Look at the ancestors who have paid in blood for some of the freedoms that we enjoy today. Absolutely. So there are some people at war with the government, Black folks in particular, whose lives were lost simply because they wanted to be free in terms of engaging in the rights that the Constitution declares are supposed to be for all folks. That's what it says on paper, but the living out of that Constitution meant that it was only those freedoms, like voting, like eating at certain restaurants, or being free from domestic terrorism. Like, those things cost people their lives. And that's another reason why it really, really pains me and infuriates me for Black folks in particular. And again, I'm talking about Black with the most expansive definition of the word, all of us who are members of the African diaspora. For us to say that we're not going to vote, I tell people all the time, I don't care anything about whether or not the party is called Democrat, or whether or not the party is called Republican, or whether you call it independent, green. I don't care if it's the Tea Party. I don't care what you call it. The fact that my folks, the blood that is still running warm in my veins through my heritage, because they lost their lives for me to be able to vote, no way will I think of it as something that does not matter. Does that mean that I believe 100% in the election process, that I believe that the electoral college is going to help us get through things? Like, absolutely not. That's not the question. My question is about loyalty to my people who gave up their lives so that we could have the rights that we deserve. Like, these are our rights. Like, as a citizen, I have a right to do that. Why would I throw away my right? Why would I not let my voice be heard? And so, yes, we have to think about that. Again, this conversation is about decision making, and it started with me thinking about this song, but also reading about the people who fled their jobs. I'm saying fled their jobs, but they resigned, they left, they quit their jobs at the Washington Post. I was really thinking about that. And then Mr. Henderson sent me this song not too long ago, but let me read the words, because I don't believe you could understand Jimmy Reed. It's an old song. It was produced in 1961 in Chicago, and it's really a cautionary tale. And these are the words. It's a very short song. He says, "Bright lights, big city, gone to my baby's head. Bright lights, a big city, gone to my baby's head. I tried to tell the woman, but she didn't believe a word I said. It's all right, pretty baby. You gonna need my help someday. It's all right, pretty baby. You gonna need my help someday. You're gonna wish you had listened to some of the things I said. Go ahead, pretty baby, honey, knock yourself out. Go ahead, pretty baby, honey, knock yourself out. I still love you, baby, because you don't know what it's all about. Bright lights, big city. They went to my baby's head. Bright lights, big city. They went to my baby's head. And this man is talking about, I'm sure this is a tribute to his girlfriend, Mary, who he later married, and she became Mama Reed. That's the name that people who were endeared to her, they called her Mama Reed. Some people refer to her, like even those in the music industry, they called her Mama Reed. She and Jimmy Reed had been, and that's the name that's the name he took on, Jimmy Reed. They had been together for quite some time before he moved to Chicago, because he was actually born in Mississippi. I'm like, what? And I'm gonna go to his city the next time that I'm traveling either to or from Mississippi. I'm gonna go through the Delta instead of going like through Memphis. I'm gonna go through the Delta because I can just turn right off of 82 in Indianola, and I'll go right into Dunleavy. That's his city. I've never been there before, never even heard of it before. But he was living there, and then he moved to Chicago, and then he was drafted into the Navy, and then he came back. When he came back, that's when they married. And so a part of me feels like this is probably a conversation that has to do with the two of them, because they're on this journey together, and on this journey, he begins to get popular, and he begins to gain some traction in the music industry, so much so that big folks that we think about, like the Rolling Stones, oh my goodness, Elvis Presley, like these are people who covered his songs. And so I could see him saying to her, like, as she's coming into this new style of living, this new way of being, with this attention and this attraction and some money, of course, not what they deserve, but some money, that things may have started to go to her head, and she want to live a different way. She thinks that she's arrived. She thinks that she's made it. She thinks that she's somehow in a different space where maybe she's operating like she's free because she has more money, so she can do things that she may not have been able to do before. And so that gives you a certain sense of freedom that you did not have before. But he's saying, baby, wait, whoa, slow down, Mama Reed, slow down, Mary. This is going to your head. What we see as fruits of our labor, many times that's what we think it is. Because we worked hard, I am now able to enjoy this new car, or this new home, or this new relationship, or this new tummy tuck, or this new hair, or these new nails, whatever it is that you feel like you want to spend your money on, that you believe is hard earned because you have put in the work to make sure that you can do these things. We often do not equate that with privilege. We often don't think of ourselves as being in spaces that people can look and say, wait a minute, like why are you able to do this when other people are not able to do it? We simply chalk it up to, well, if you wanted to do it, you could do it. You're not working hard enough. And if you're faithful in the Christian faith, a lot of people will try to shame you and judge you and say you don't have enough faith. Like your faith is not at work. You need to fast and pray and all of these. You need to tarry for the Lord so that you can get these things to happen in your life. But really, I have said when I facilitate conversations now, I say to people, whenever you want to call yourself blessed, whenever you want to call yourself lucky, whenever you want to call yourself networked in, or whatever words you want to use in that vein, substitute privileged instead. Instead of saying you blessed, like the Lord has done something for you that the Lord is not going to do for somebody else because you love the Lord more than they do. Don't use that word. Use privilege. I don't care what color you are. So many of us sit in places of privilege that we don't always acknowledge. And if we were to consider privilege more often, then we would be able to say, okay, well, wait a minute. I don't like the way it feels to be called privilege. I don't like that word. I don't like the way it sounds coming out of somebody else's mouth directed towards me. And I definitely don't want to claim it for myself because, like I said, I'm a hard worker. But if you begin to own the word, then it will cause you to deal with your discomfort. Why are you discomforted when somebody calls you privileged? Because the word privilege forces you to say, well, privilege means I got something that somebody else doesn't have, and I got it without deserving it. Like, what made me the one that they chose for the scholarship? Like, what made me the one that was able to get out of the projects and go to college? Like, what made me the one that was able to get this promotion? Like, things are not, other people around you are working hard too. We are talking about this now a lot at the station because we are in partnership with the Winthrop Rockefeller Foundation talking about ALICE. ALICE is an acronym that stands for Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed. So there's a whole group of people who live in our state. We're just talking about Arkansas right now, that live in our state who are working hard every single day and they cannot make their ends meet. They cannot meet all of the I don't want to say requirements, but they can't do everything that they need to do to sustain themselves and their families. And it's not because they're not working hard. It's because the systems privilege some of us in ways that they don't privilege all of us. And if we begin to think of ourselves as privileged, if we begin to think of that word, then we can begin to wrestle with, okay, if there are other people out there working hard and they're not receiving these same opportunities that I've received in my life, what does that mean? And where am I in that story? And what am I going to do about it? And those are the kinds of questions that we have to ask ourselves when we choose to self-examine ourselves so that we can stop acting like it's some magical, mystical power that the Lord has given us in order for us to be able to shine, and let His light shine through us. But this is a function of the intricate systems that are at play in every aspect of our lives. And so Lowe says, yeah, those have been called the working poor. Absolutely. That's what we call them, the working poor, because they are working and they are still poor. So people who say that folks are poor because they're not working, a lot of us want to say, well, folks just want to be on welfare. Folks just want to sit around. They don't want to work. They don't want a job ever since COVID. All of that is, it could be applicable in some places, for some situations, but by and large, that is not the case at all. People are working hard every single day and they still cannot meet the demands of their household. And so when I was reading this article about the Washington Post refusing to endorse a candidate for president, then other people are responding. There's been this huge fallout where at the Washington Post itself, many of its employees decided to quit, decided to, they left because based on their moral fiber, like whatever was in them, whatever was pushing them to consider this and then act on it was larger than whatever benefits they might be receiving from working at the Post. Beyond just their salary, I'm sure there was a package. So I'm sure they had insurance, they may have had stock options, they may have had all kinds of things. But to decide to quit this, decide to walk away from this because they realize that they might be, that the newspaper has gotten caught up in the bright lights in the big city, that they've lost their focus, that they're no longer paying attention to what needs to be paid attention to. They're not paying attention to keeping the real thing, the main thing, then they no longer want to be a part of it. And so I wonder how many of us, those of us who are privileged, because I'm not talking right now about people who are the working poor. I would not suggest to them at all that they give up anything that they have. If they've got a job, I would not say, oh, get mad and walk off your job and you're already struggling to make sure that you can feed your family. You're already struggling to make sure that you can pay for your medication. Those are not the people that I'm talking about. I'm talking about those of us who can make different decisions because we are in a different position, because we are privileged in so many spaces. Are we willing to make those kinds of decisions? And if not, why not? Like, what is it that's keeping you in a situation, at a job, in a relationship, being a partner to some organization? What's keeping you in a space where you are not free, and what is happening, the policies, the procedures in that workplace, in that environment are working to keep other people from being free? Why do you still stay there? Like, why won't you walk away? What makes you stop? And what makes you stay? So I just want us to think about that and grounded in this conversation about some of us really listening to Jimmy Reed and saying, you're gonna wish, especially after this election, if it goes the wrong way for me, if Kamala Harris does not win, you're gonna wish that you listened to what I said. I'm being very clear about this. This is what Jimmy Reed said. You gonna wish. If it doesn't go our way, you gonna wish. And so I want to make sure that we are pushing to have those conversations. Oh, I forgot. I need to do something. Let me change subjects for just a minute. Tuesday, I mentioned issue 2. So we are in an election cycle. Early voting has started. It started on October 21st. It does not end until November 2nd, which is actually Saturday. So you can early vote. You can vote early between now and Saturday until 6 p.m. at any of the early voting locations that we've talked about. Most of the libraries, the Dunbar Community Center, in Jacksonville at the Community Center, you can vote early. If you vote early, you do not have to go to a specific polling location. I think that's one of the benefits of voting early for me. You can go anywhere that they are conducting the polls and you can cast your vote and let your voice be heard. And so I was talking about this on Tuesdays because I was lining out the people who were basically endorsed by Attorney Marion Humphrey Sr. And also I threw in Dawn Jeffries and her recommendations, and I threw in some recommendations from Pastor Wendell Griffin. And then I also showed you where all 3 of them, including me, were at odds with each other. So we were just having this conversation about the ballot. And I touched just a little bit on issue 2, which is about the casino. And one of the people offline, one of the listeners, said to me that I confused her. And I was like, oh my goodness, let me clear this up. So issue 2 is on the ballot for the people to decide, and it's about the casino. It's about Amendment 100, which was passed in 2018. In 2018, the voters decided by majority that they were going to authorize what became Amendment 100, which gave the Polk County gaming licensing agency, gaming people, the authority to decide where they're going to put some casinos. And so they decided that they were going to have casinos in 4 locations. One was going to be in Hot Springs, one is going to be in West Memphis, one is going to be in Jefferson County, so that is Pine Bluff, and then the other one in Polk County, so we're talking about Russellville. And so because the people decided yes to this, the people voted in 2018 say yes, and so that means that the Gaming Commission can now decide we're going to have these casinos, and they can decide where they're going to put them, and so they decided on 4 locations. Well, that passed. So right now in the Constitution, it's in the Constitution that the Gaming Commission, that might not be the title, but the folks who run the gaming operation, they have the rights. They are in authority as it relates to casinos. So what the issue number 2 says is there is an option for us the people to repeal that, to say we no longer want it to be the voice of the Gaming Commission that says these people who make up these decisions about the casinos, we don't want this to be their decision for us whether or not we have a casino in our county or in our city. We want to make the decision ourselves. So we want the voters to decide. So we want to take away the power of the Gaming Commission to put a casino wherever they see fit, and we want to put the power into the hands of the people. And by doing that, we are against the Gaming Commission. This is where it got confusing. We're against the Gaming Commission being in charge. Therefore, you vote for issue 2 because issue 2, if you vote for, then that means that you are going to appeal the decision that was made in 2018, and you are going to change the Constitution so that the people are decided. So that's the confusion, because it's got us, and they do that all the time. It's got us looking at it backwards. Like, yes, we say, well, I'm against the Gaming Commission, so I'm gonna vote against this. No. If you are against the Gaming Commission being in charge, then you want to vote for the amendment, because voting for the amendment gives the people the power. And so I was saying, anytime you can give the people the power, that's what I'm going to do. And so she said, but you said vote no. My recommendation is that you vote for this so that you can get this Amendment 100 out of the Constitution, so that the people can decide for themselves if they want to have a casino in their midst. It's the same work that I was doing when we were talking about the Reproductive Justice Amendment, where I was saying to the people, I'm not asking you if you are in favor of reproductive rights for people that include one tool that we call abortion. I'm not asking you to make a decision about whether or not you are for or against that procedure. What I'm asking you to do is put it on the ballot so that people can decide. That's why I had you all coming and meet me at the library. Some of you all met me at Pyramid. Some of you all stopped at Kroger on Roosevelt, and you were signing that petition that they use some shenanigans to keep out of play. But it's the same principle here. So you're voting for to say, I want the people to decide. Voting for does not mean I believe in casinos. It doesn't mean I believe in gambling. It doesn't mean I condone gambling. It means that I believe that people should be free to choose for themselves. And so that's what voting for issue 2 does. Now, there are so many people that are against this, they want to leave it in the Constitution because what they are saying is that there's money that is generated by the casino that can be used to further the growth and development of our cities here in Little Rock. So they're talking about how that money can go to education, that money can go to healthcare, that money can create jobs for folks when we have these casinos. And so they don't think that it's a good idea for us to rescind this, to get it, to repeal Amendment 100. So I'm just giving you both sides. People who are for issue 2 say take this out of the hands of the folks and then put it in take it out of the hands of the government. And so when I say the government, we're talking about the quorum court, like who makes this decision? There's a judge that's involved in the decision-making process, and then there's a court that makes these decisions. The county judge and the quorum court, they're the ones who are making the decisions about allowing the casinos to go forward. And so a 4 vote says, no, you all are not the ones who should be making decisions on what happens to us. Let us make decisions about what happens to us. The people who are against it say, no, let them make the decisions because we need this money from this casino so that we can do these things. That's the argument. So you get to decide for yourself. I recommend that you vote for issue 2 so that you can put the power in the hands of the people where I think it always belongs. And then if you are against that, then you would vote against, if you want the government to keep the power. And so Lo says, really, what happened in Pine Bluff? That is the critical question, sir. That is the critical question. Why wasn't the casino built in Pine Bluff? Because right now, when you think about, because the people who are really up in arms about this are the people in Polk County. I mean, a lot of us are up in arms. I shouldn't say it like that, but there are people who are even more directly impacted by what's going to happen with issue 2. Those are the people in Polk County living in Russellville, because even though the amendment, what became Amendment 100, that gave the power to the quorum court and the county judge to make the decision to allow the gaming commissions to name their 4 locations, even though that amendment passed, Polk County did not vote for it. That county in particular, 61% of them said, no, we don't want this. But the majority of people, like, they were outvoted. So because they were outvoted, it's basically they lost, right? They lost this part of the election. And so they're like, well, no, we are serious about this. We do not want this. And so for them to be so adamant about not wanting it, and they've been fighting it. There have been lawsuits about this whole thing. They're so adamant about it, and yet the design is already in place. They want to make sure that they've already authorized 325 acres northeast of Russellville, north on I-40. It's 50,000 square feet. It's 200 room motel. It's a 200 room hotel. It's 15,000 square feet of event space. There's supposed to be an outdoor event venue that can seat 5,000 people, and it's only supposed to take 18 months to build. So they've crafted this. They've carved out what they're going to do in Russellville. They're just waiting for the go-ahead, which is being held up by this election. These people are sitting on ready. But yet Pine Bluff, I didn't see the information. Y'all got the information, please share it with me. I'll share it with the rest of the folks. I didn't see that. I didn't see that kind of attention to detail, making sure that it happens in Pine Bluff. So that is a very good question, and one that's making me say, especially when you think about the demographics of both of those cities. And so if you say, no, we need the casino because it's going to give us an opportunity to expand in areas of education and healthcare, and you're looking at these two counties, whether it's Jefferson County or Polk County, you say, okay, well, if that's the case, which one would benefit most from the casino being in this place? Which one of these counties could have a greater discrepancy between folks based on race, based on socioeconomic status, based on age, based on whether or not it's rural or urban, like which ones? And the answer would be, Jefferson County, but that's not where they're fighting to put the casino. So again, these are the questions that we have to ask to position ourselves to say, am I caught up in the bright lights of this big city? Am I so busy focusing on what my life looks like because I feel good about my life that I don't realize I'm connected to every other life? And just because my life looks good, if somebody else's doesn't, then that is a reflection on me. We should not be willing to even open our mouths and brag about or boast about or even begin to tick off all the stuff that we have when we can look right outside our doors and see somebody who obviously is in need of some mental health services that we are not providing. Because we the people make up the government. So we are the ones who have the power to say, this is why we have to I got this message. I saw the message pop up. So we make up the government. So that's why it's so important for us to vote, because we do not live in a democracy. We live in a republic. A republic means that I vote for other folks to represent me, and those people are supposed to represent my best interests. So I'm trusting you in office to be my voice, and that's not what's happening with us. There are so many people that are in office where we can say, I in particular can say, you don't represent me. You are not even thinking about me. You are getting bought. You are bought and paid for. And so we have to vote as a people to say we want a government that says, no, I don't want anybody to be without health care. I don't care if they're formerly incarcerated. I don't care if they are the working poor. I don't care if they are below the poverty line. I don't care. I don't care if they're a person of trans experience. I don't care if they are Black. I don't care if they are gay. I don't care. Everybody should have a right to health care. So Deidre says, I'm not understanding the question about Pine Bluff. Please explain. Lo, she's talking to you. I think she's talking to you. Did they build a casino in Pine Bluff? The money generated is not going to education, infrastructure, housing in the Pine Bluff community. The money generated is not going to education, infrastructure, housing in the Pine Bluff community. Yes, they built the casino in Pine Bluff. Yeah, it's called Oaklawn or something. So I think the conversation is about how it was done, because I remember this now, because Vivian Flowers was actually, before she became mayor, she was advocating against this casino being in Pine Bluff, because she was worried that when we say that the money generated is going to be used in these ways, that's not what's going to happen. Primarily around how it relates to who was going to get the jobs, like who's going to get the bids, who are going to be the contractors that build it, who are going to be those that are employed to do the bid, who are going to get the jobs in the casino. She did not believe that it was going to be accessible to folks who really did need the jobs. And then she did not believe it was going to cross those lines of disparities that need to be crossed, whether it's race, gender, class, socioeconomic status, whatever that is. And so she did not believe that. And that's what happened. So that's what happened in Pine Bluff, that the money, all the stuff that they said they were going to do, which is what Kenyon Lowe is now saying, all the stuff that you said you were going to do as a result of getting this bid to build this casino, in fact, did not happen. So, yeah, that clears it up. So the casino was built. I thought he was reminding us that it wasn't built. Somebody else asked me, did you know they asked me something about Pine Bluff? What happened in Pine Bluff with this issue around the casino? Yeah, but the casino is built. I haven't been yet. Have y'all been? They say it's one of those restaurants, the steak is good. I'm not a steak person, but I like to go eat. I'm not a gambler. I don't even want to put a penny in the slot. I will play the arcades though. Galaga and Miss Pac-Man. Those are my absolute favorites. And as long as some people spend on the slots, I can spend in the arcade. Give me $1, I can stay all day. So I hope that helps. Does that help, Deidre, to clear up about the question in Pine Bluff with the casino? So issue 2, I recommend that you vote for issue 2, which means you are voting to repeal, to take it out of the Constitution, that the government can decide where casinos belong, so that you can put the power in the hands of the people. Now, if this passes, if the 4 vote passes, there's gonna have to be a special election, because then the people have to vote. Right now, we're just trying to give the people the power to vote, and then later you'll be able to vote. So Deidre says, Pine Bluff has governmental problems. Once Vivian follows the money, I think you will see improvements. Pine Bluff has governmental problems. Once Vivian follows the money, I think you will see improvements. Just talking about Mayor Vivian Flowers. Yeah, I think we could say that about the government in general, right? Like, if we follow the money in our in our counties and our cities and on a federal level, like, if we just follow the money of the government, we can see what improvements need to be made, and then we can make a difference. But again, so many of us are caught up in the bright light, big city of our own lives, that we're not looking beyond ourselves to see what's really happening with our tax dollars. And when we see what's happening with our tax dollars that we don't appreciate, we don't have the guts, we don't have the courage, we don't have the willingness, like the people from the Washington Post, to walk away from it all and say, look, I'm not going to benefit from this system that's killing folks on purpose. I've got to figure out another way to create my own livelihood, because we all need a livelihood. We all got to have money coming in. I get that. But there are different ways that we can work other than the ways that we are working right now, in order for us to decide how to redistribute the wealth that this country has. Because if Elon Musk, Lord have mercy, he ain't even from. Okay, so Lo says, I have a question for you. With mortality rate of deaths of pregnant Black women, what is your take on this? What is my take on mortality rate deaths of pregnant Black women, like, as it relates to the casino? I'm not sure I understand the question, but I do know so the question is, with mortality rates of deaths of pregnant Black women, what is your take on this? And so the question to me is about the mortality rates of pregnant Black women deaths. So Black women are dying in their pregnancy, and some of them are dying after they give birth, and some of them their babies are dying. So there's an infant mortality rate that is a disparity amongst Black women as well. So that's the question. Wanted to know my take on it. So, okay, here's Deidre. Pine Bluff is 78% Black. We have the opportunity to gentrify we have an opportunity to gentrify our own city. Is it called gentrification when it's your own city? That's not how I understand gentrification. But what I think I hear you saying is Pine Bluff is 78% Black. So Black folks can develop their own cities. Like Black people can renew their own cities. Like Black people can do the work that they see happening with other folks. So gentrification to me means other people, other entities invade your neighborhood, your city, in order to build, to renew, to revive, all the words that they use for their benefit. Whereas I think that when we're talking about this kind of city development, this kind of plan where the people that are directly impacted have the power and have the say-so and have the voice, that I do believe that's when you use the words like renewal and development and economic development, economic reprisal, those kinds of things. So, so I love what you're saying. So Pine Bluff is 78% Black. You have the power right now to do what you feel is best in your city. And that, again, is what issue 2 is offering you, giving the power to the people to decide. And that's why I think you should vote for it. And so Kenya Lowe says healthcare issue, the workplace of benefits on the job, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, okay. So I do not believe when you tell me that we're going to take the proceeds from a casino in order um, to pour money into spaces like education and healthcare, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. And the reason I don't believe you is because of the way the government chooses to itemize its budget. Like when we look at our budget now, even on a local level and on a federal level, when we look at, let's talk, since we're talking about voting, you're being asked to vote on the 3/8 tax and the 5/8 tax. So they want you to vote for twice, meaning they want you to vote for another tax bill. And I'm saying, and I'm suggesting, these are the last ones that we talked about on Tuesday, that you should vote no for the tax bill. Because why? The first 10 years are going to be spent in making sure that they amp up law enforcement. So this is where they want to, so they said, we want the tax money. Yes, they keep talking about they're going to do something about people who are unsheltered. That's what they say, but the first priority that they have is to make sure that they give the majority of this money to law enforcement. It also includes things like building a fire station. It includes other things, but by and large, it's about making sure we support law enforcement and giving them even more tools to do the work of occupying our city and our state. And so if you really wanted to invest in healthcare, if you really wanted to invest in education, you would redistribute those funds. If you really wanted to invest in education, you would change the formula that we use to fund public schools. All of that is well within your power as people who vote for folks to represent you. We are voting for people who are representing us who are killing public schools. We are voting for people who are representing us who are not even paying attention to the fact that Black women have high mortality rates and Black infant mortality rates are much higher than the counterparts of those black women who are pregnant and who are giving birth. And so we have to decide again, like the people from the Washington Post, when are we going to decide to get out of this game? Like they decided to leave the Washington Post. So I'm just using this as a metaphor. They decide to get out of that game. I'm not going to be here somewhere where I cannot believe in the ethics of what we are doing, that I cannot support you as my supervisor, as my boss, as the owner, as the creator. I cannot do this. So when are we going to say, wherever we are, in whatever space we're in, whether it's your church, some of y'all need to walk away from your church. Some of y'all are attending churches that are telling you that according to God, some people are unlovable. That ain't the church for you. And are you willing to make those decisions? We've got to, I know some people who are in churches that are telling them not to love people. Even sometimes there is some man on some of this social media. I don't share these videos because I don't want them to get any more likes than they already have. But there's some men, if you're a Democrat, they don't want you to come into the church. And I'm like, what God are y'all, like, what are y'all doing? So some of you all need to have the guts to leave these places because you're trying to benefit from them with whatever you're getting. I know one Black man is at a church that he don't need to go to because he's like, well, the people know me there, they expect me to be there. What? That's why you go to the place. That's why are you worshiping there? So we've got to ask ourselves some more difficult, some deeper, more probing questions so that we can make the right decisions. So here's Deidre. At first, they were complaining about Black teenage pregnancy. Now is the death of the babies. They are telling you how many Black babies they want around here and who needs to have them. To fix this, get your own Black doctors and hospitals. Let's say this again. At first, they were complaining about Black teenage pregnancy. Now is the death of the babies. They are telling you how many Black babies they want around here and who needs to have them. To fix this, get your own Black doctors and hospitals. I was just reading, I was going through, I'm having a difficult time cleaning up all this stuff that I got out of storage, and I was going through it and I found this book that I got when I went to Tulsa for a convention with Just Communities of Arkansas. And this book it's called Buy Black Toll, which means Buy Black in Tulsa. And it's an entire, like it's a whole book that's geared to nothing but Black-owned businesses. And it's divided up according to the categories of, of businesses. So it's like all of these are restaurants, all of this is self-care, all of this is fitness, all of this is, whatever else. Like, so they have all of these Black businesses. And I said to myself, I was like, when you think about the legacy of Greenwood, that became known as the Black Wall Street, these 30 blocks, like 30 blocks of Black entrepreneurship, Black community, Black collective, like Black business, like all of these dollars, they did not have to. They did go across the track, across the way to the other side of town to work, but they brought their money back to their own community, and that dollar circulated like, I want to say 100 times. Like it circulated a lot before it left that community. So when are we going to have the gumption to say, I'm going to walk away from these entities that I am supporting with my intellect, with my energy, with my time, with my resources? I'm giving all of myself to build somebody else as well. And then I'm looking around like, why do I not have this in my own place? Why do I not have this in my own neighborhood? Why are we not putting that same energy, those same resources to build our own? Why aren't we doing that? Why? And so Deidre's like, well, Pine Bluff is in a prime. you are primed right now to do that. And I hope they do. So Lo says, I am asking people to think, if you're making $150,000 a year, this tax will have a minimum effect on you. However, if you are making $15 an hour, the impact will be heavy on your economics. Yeah, they continue to keep taxing. Keep these taxes, and then there's so many loopholes for people who make so much money. That happens all the time. I am a small business owner, and 2 years ago, when I had to pay my taxes, I owed like $9,000. I'm like, how I run the business by myself. I don't even have any employees, so I'm not paying anybody else's insurance. Like all I'm doing is taking care of myself, and I as a small business owner. Oh, like $9,000. Donald Trump ain't paid nothing in taxes. Did he pay $1? I'm like, yes. And so we have to think, that's what this whole song is about. Jimmy Reed in 1961 is saying to us, look, y'all are caught up in these bright lights. Y'all are caught up in this big city meaning this world, this matrix that we are living in. And you think just because you have a couple of extra dollars that you got something. But the same people that are feeling good about themselves, like I'm at home because I got a couple of extra dollars, then I want to know what your savings account looks like. Because one of the things that we are also learning about people, especially people that are in the Alice category, where we're saying that they are asset limited, income constrained, and they're working, they cannot make their ends meet, they cannot save. Right? And so I heard someone on the show, Dale, we did on Monday, and she was saying that we need to take a different approach to saving, that even if you're not making that much money, there is a way to save. I need her to talk more about that. But so you're saying, okay, you make $150,000. I want to know how much liquid assets, how many dollars do you have in liquid? How much money can you go to the bank and get right now? Let's think about Deidre's suggestion, okay? Let's build our own community. 78% Black folks in Pine Bluff. Let's build our own community. How many of the 78% of Black folks that are living in Pine Bluff can go to their bank right now and say, okay, if we get 20 people to give $5,000, we'll have $100,000 to build this school. I'm just making up something, right? How many of those people can go to the bank right now and get out $5,000 that they can donate to the collective to build this school? How many can do that? How many can do that right here in Little Rock? You make $150,000, but can you go and get $5,000 to give to somebody and not be hounding them because you need it back? And not lose your friendship over the fact that they didn't pay you back? Like, how many of us have that? And so the bright lights in the big city, Jimmy Reed is warning us about this. Stop for a moment. Even though I want you to enjoy your life, even though I want you to have your mission and purpose fulfilled. Even though I want you to do the things that you believe that you were created to do on this work, on this earth. The question is, how are you doing it? And are you doing it in a way that allows everybody to prosper in the midst of your own prosperity? Because if you're the only one prospering, this is another principle that I do not agree with, the way that it's being interpreted sometimes from the Bible. It says, as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord, which basically means I don't care what y'all do. This is what we're going to do. And the Lord going to bless us. And so it's going to be fine over here. We got. Now, what's happening to y'all? We don't care. No, that's not the way it should be interpreted. It says that I want to make sure that I have the freedom to make whatever choices I want to make in my house. I want to have the freedom to serve God or not. I don't have to. So you don't have to. Like, I'm giving you freedom. And I understand that your freedom is also a tie that's connected to the rest of us. So you can't be free all by yourself on some island. No man is an island. We are all still navigating this space called the planet Earth. We are all still trying to figure out how to coexist. And so we need each other to be free individually and then also free as a collective, as humanity. We've got to figure that out. And you cannot do that if you are only focused on me and mine. And if you're me and mine, you're so focused on that you don't even recognize the complicity in these systems that don't care about these Black women, that don't care about these Black babies, that don't care about these discrepancies in every aspect of our lives. Whether you're talking about healthcare, transportation, housing, we've got disparities in every aspect of our lives. We have got to start not only thinking differently, but moving differently. And that's again why we keep talking about this vote. Now, Tuesday, early voting is from October 21st to November 2nd. November 2nd is Saturday. So day after tomorrow by 6 o'clock, you can no longer vote early. So that means if you have a job, I was talking to my friend Val in Mississippi, and I was saying, have you voted yet? When did y'all early voting start? She said, we don't have early voting. I said, what? She said, you know Mississippi don't have early voting. I did not realize that. I said, wait, what now? I said, well, what happens? So the polls are only open from 7 to 7. I know that because my mother used to be an election commissioner, and we used to work the polls. I used to work the polls with her. I used to go pick up the election boxes, all those things. And so I'm like, she used to be manager of the polls. She wasn't the election commissioner. She ran for it and she lost. But I'm like, the polls only open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So if you are a member of the ALICE population in Mississippi, because every state has an ALICE population, asset limited, income constrained, people who are working, those people can't just get off work. They can't just say, oh, I'm out, I gotta go vote. And if they can leave on their lunch break, they only have their lunch break. So however they get transportation to the polls, and then they got to get transportation back. That's part of that hour. And then they got to, what if they have to stand in line? Like the line I had to stand in at the Dunbar Community Center that I thought was beautiful. Do not get me wrong. I had my book in my hand, so I was fine. I always have a book in my hand. So they can't vote. Like, and so I said to her, I said, what happens to people? Like, do their bosses? She said, look, if you can't get it in, if you can't figure out how to do it between 7 and 7, you won't vote. And I'm like, are you kidding me? No, she's not kidding me. I was like, here we go again. Thank God for Mississippi. At least Arkansas does have early voting. They did fight really hard to make sure that we lost that Monday, because we were trying to make sure that you could vote early all the way up to the Monday before the actual election day on Tuesday, but they took that away. So you only have until Saturday to vote. And so those of you who have to work on Tuesday, and those of you who may have limitations around your workplace, please make sure that you get out to vote on today, tomorrow, or Saturday. The polls are open until 6. They open at 9 and they stay open until 6 o'clock. Monday, you will not be able to vote. There is no voting on Monday. And then Tuesday, you have to go to your assigned polling location. Please, y'all, if y'all check your snail mail. I am not good with checking snail mail. I ain't good with email either, but check your snail mail. There may be a notice in your mail from the circuit clerk's office, Terry Hollingsworth, because some of the polling places have been changed, and they are trying to get this information to you in enough time so that you do not end up in the wrong place, so you do not feel like this particular piece is called voter suppression. This like, no. We're trying to tell you, we're trying to help you get to the right place. There's a lot of voter suppression going on, but this is not it. We're telling you, hey, go to a different place. So please check your snail mail. We want to make sure you have all the information that you need so that you can vote, because the more you vote to put the power in your hands and to keep it in your hands, the better able you are to refrain from getting caught up in the big lights, the bright lights, and the big city. The big city meaning this matrix of a world that we are living in where we are not free. I ain't free, so you're not free. Let's work to get free, and we got to do that together. Thank you so much for joining us for The Workplace. You have been live right here at KABF 88.3 FM, where we are the voice of the people. We'll be right back here with some more information coming up right after me. Talk to y'all soon. Bye now.